Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you've had an awesome and amazing week. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live, welcome back. And for those of you who are brand new to Mental Health Moment with Dr. Hammond, welcome, welcome. We are here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Live, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And for those of you who are tuning into the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube, be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. Thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know in the chat where you are tuning in from today. And for those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, today I'm tuning in from the Tampa Bay area of Florida. Happy to be in some pretty awesome weather right now, especially after the past month or so with multiple hurricanes and just all the different things that were going on in Florida. Happy to be having some semi-regular weather for now. But nonetheless, again, let me know where you're tuning in from here in the chat, and then hopefully my comments will start to come in a timely manner. So anyhow, so if you're new to Mental Health Moments, we are actually right now on a series talking about my new book, which is Mindset Training, Conquer Your Mind, and the Rest Will Follow. I think you can see that there. If you haven't already gotten a copy, we've been going through the book each week until the end of the year, until the end of this year. And right now we are, let me turn to there. We are in chapter 6. So I'm actually going to go through a couple of these chapters here today and just do an overview of it. So if you do have the book, obviously bring it and make sure you have your pen or highlighter or whatever it is that you need. And I will obviously be going through it with you. If you don't have your copy yet, it's Mindset Training, Conquer Your Mind, and the Rest Will Follow. It is available on Amazon. That's the number one question I've gotten. It's available on Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, booksamillion.com, and other online retailers that sell books. So be sure to grab your copy. And I do want to say that before I go through some of the chapters here tonight, and hopefully, keep letting me know where you're tuning in from. Sometimes these comments, for those of you who are not, or for those of you who are new, they will pop up like randomly in the middle of the live. Or sometimes I can't see them, unfortunately, but I love to see where you guys are tuning in from. So just keep letting me know in the chat, and then hopefully it'll show up here soon. But I did want to share with you before, it can already, speaking of the devil, it's starting to pop up now. Good evening from Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. So one of the things I did want to share before I go through the next couple chapters here today is that throughout your mental health and wellness journey, and for those of you who are new, Mental Health Moment is all about how do you become the best version of who you are so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for those around you, which looks very differently, of course, depending on who you are, what your mental health and wellness goals are, and where you're at in this journey. For some of you, you're at the beginning of the journey, which is all good. For some of you, you're like, I gotta, kind of reset and get back on track. And for some of you, you're like, I am running, I am great, I'm wonderful, right? It doesn't matter. Like, no matter where you're at, you're in the right place. And there's always room for improvements. And there's always a good possibility that you can change for the better. Always a possibility. There's always hope. Orlando's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Yep, someone says show up powerfully. I love when, see, the comments come in when they want to, you all. Anyways, so again, we're already starting on chapter 6. If you miss any of the previous mental health moments, we started obviously at chapter 1, or you're going to miss any of them from now until the end of the year, you can always go to Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube, and the replays will all be on there. If you subscribe to the page, obviously it'll send you the reminders or when it's available, the videos. Trying to think. There's another announcement. I have one last announcement, and then I will get started, which is, let me find that date for you all. Um, okay, in December, there it is. Okay. So I made this announcement last week. I know some of you asked like where am I speaking next? Right now a lot of my speaking engagements are private to different companies, but some of the time I do speak in spaces that are public and open to the public. So the next one coming up is going to be Wednesday, December 18th. I'll be doing a panel discussion with the International Association of Women. It is called Mastering the Balancing Act: Women's Wellness in a Fast-Paced World. So that link to register will be on my website, drnikishahammond.com, here shortly. And yes, you can register. I believe it's free. Don't quote me, but nonetheless, it is something that's open to the public. So again, that date is Wednesday, December 18th, and it's at 1 p.m. Eastern time is when that panel discussion will be. And like I said, pretty soon here, it will be the link. We'll put it on the Dr. Nikki Hammond website. So, okay, now we're gonna get started. All right, so chapter 6. So chapter 6, you all, is about mindset training. And one of the things that is really important, so again, I literally just start off the chapter talking about the notion of mental toughness. And the reason why this is important is because a lot of times, and well, let me know in the comments here. Hopefully, my comments seem to have stopped. Hopefully, it'll come back in, or someone else can read it and benefit from your answers. But let me know first before I read you the first part of the chapter. When you think of mental toughness, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Right? So put it in the comments. And again, I may or may not see it because apparently I don't know what the comments are doing today. But so again, when you think of mental toughness, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And there's not a right or wrong answer, but let me know in the chat. Good evening to you. Popping in and out the comments. Okay. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. So one of the things that I mentioned starting in this chapter was that a lot of times, maybe if you've heard the term mental toughness, you might think of like physically being tough or like an elite athlete. I think of my favorite Olympian, you all, Simone Biles. Like, she has so much mental toughness, and a lot of other people, right? But it's not just for elite athletes. So you also can work on developing your mental toughness and your resilience. Meaning, how are you dealing? We all have our stuff, right, that we've dealt with or are currently dealing with, but how are you managing that? How are you managing your emotions? How are you managing your reactions to it? How are you being resilient from the situations that you face? So oops, let me turn the page here if I got to turn the page. Okay. So one of the things I really bolded in this chapter, and I want you to remember this today, if you don't remember anything from today's mental health moment, is that you are stronger than you think. I know it's cliche to say, but the reality is you do have a lot of mental toughness. You do have a lot of mental strength inside of you. It's a matter of working on tapping into that strength and understanding how to use the strength that you have. I've met a lot of people who've gone through a lot of stuff, like hard, difficult things in their life. And what's always fascinating to me is people that have really tapped into their inner strength and recognize how they can have that mental toughness and have that resilience to get through and move through some really hard and dark times. So it's very possible for you. That's literally step one of this. You have to believe, and it's a process. It's not an overnight process, but you have to work on believing for you that this is possible, that it is possible for you to have the strength to get through, that it is possible for you to work on your mental toughness, that it is possible that you can be resilient even in the hardest, darkest times of your life. That is step one. You have to really dig deep and work on believing that for you. I can't tell you, that's probably another chapter, but I can't tell you how powerful your belief systems are about yourself. Very critically important. So that's part one, is really to recognize that and remember that. So I wrote here, well, one of the analogies I always say is when you think of a knight in shining armor, like if you imagine this, this physical knight, shining armor. We've heard about it before. They're going to, come in and save the day type of thing. But you can work on being your own knight in shining armor, if you will, meaning you work on developing what I call like a mental armor. And it doesn't mean your heart is hardened. It doesn't mean you're going to go through life and you're not going to feel anything. But what it does mean is you are working on building yourself up in a way that you can be most protected through some pretty challenging times that are going to come up at some point, if they haven't already, in your life, because that is life. That's just what it is. So how do you work on getting through the adversity? How do you work on turning your challenges, if you will, into learning opportunities for you and working on that mental toughness? That's what this chapter is about. And hey, thanks for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. If you're just tuning in, by the way, we're going through mindset training, conquer your mind and the rest will follow. There's like a glare. Okay. And we're in chapter 6. So I wanted to summarize that for you. Building up your resiliency can help you to prepare to deal with situations in a more effective manner. Again, it's about, one of the pieces of this is your beliefs and how to work through that, right? And also know that what happens sometimes, well, let me pause really quick before I go to the next chapter. But also what happens sometimes is you might have gotten to a certain point in your life, and then something happens and you feel like you've taken some steps back in your self-care journey and your mental wellness, mental health journey. And that's okay. Sometimes it's literally working on remembering that just because you have the setbacks doesn't mean that that's like all the chapters of your life, right? Like life goes on. We still have to continue. We still have to heal, understandably, depending on how difficult that situation was. But it's still possible to return. It's still possible to tap into the inner strength and keep going. And the reason I brought that up, actually, speaking of keep going, is because, was it? I think, yeah, it was last week. I had my third flat tire, you all, in the past, I feel like it's been like 3-4 months. I'm like, what in the world is going on with my car? Because I feel like it's either a AAA call to come and like get the donut on or whatever, figure it out, or a trip to get a new tire or a plug, or like, okay. So, but I'm sharing this with you because what was interesting today is I went out to the dealership and trying to figure out if I need a new tire or not. And they didn't have any appointments until today, which is Tuesday. And this was like a couple of days ago. So I was riding on a donut, like, the donut for your car tire. And when you ride on a donut, for those of you who've ridden on a donut before, which is not a full size tire, you have to drive really carefully, and you can't be on highways, driving fast. I think you have, don't quote me, but I think it's like you can't go over 40 miles an hour or whatever it is. You're not supposed to go fast on this donut tire thing. So I wasn't for days. And then today, when they actually took care of my tire and I had the real tire on where I could drive home on a highway and I could drive the regular speed, it's so crazy because my brain was so used to going slow. I was like, oh, be slow, be careful. I'm riding a donut, right? Even though the tire was already changed. There's no reason I needed to go slow. It literally took me a couple hours for my brain for it to sink in. It's okay. Like, you can drive regular now, right? The tire's on, you're good. And that's how it is for many of us. Honestly, when it comes to resilience, sometimes you go through a situation, you may be tiptoeing around, you're having some difficulty or whatnot, just mentally getting through, and then you're good. Like you're out of the situation. You're good again. But your mind has to almost catch up with that situation. And that sometimes is how our mental toughness and resilience works. It's almost like our brains have to catch up sometimes to situations. But yes, I'm really hoping, let me knock on some wood here. I'm really hoping I don't have any more flat tires this year, you all. Like 3 in a couple months, that's a lot. I don't know. I don't even know what my AAA benefits are. I feel like I'm about to max them out this year. Anyhow, okay, moving along. So chapter 7. So again, we're on chapter 7 here. Chapter 7 is about inner peace. Speaking of inner peace, right? And one of the things that this is okay. A lot of people have asked me, like, how in the world do you do like the 500 million things that you do? Because you're speaking, you have private practice, you're raising a child, you have a family, you're married, like there's there's so many different roles I play, writing books, right? Doing all these things. And one of my secret tips that I shared in this book is really thinking about how can you find ways to celebrate. And I don't just mean on holidays and birthdays and times where you're by calendar supposed to celebrate, but I mean finding small wins to celebrate because life is tough, things pop up. But are you giving yourself a chance to work on resetting to the inner peace that you need? There will always be something popping up in our lives. That's what life is, right? Always something for us to deal with. But can you the secret, if you will, is again, even if you find the moments of joy in the hard and dark times, that really can be life changing to have that sort of mindset. And it takes a while to get there, which is okay if you're like, oh my God, there's no way. Like, right? Because sometimes we want to wallow and we want to wallow in our self pity and we want to just think about the negative and we want to just deal with what we're dealing with. And it's like, celebrate. Why in the world would we do that? And it doesn't take away or minimize the pain that you're feeling and whatever it is that you're going through, but it just gives your brain a little bit of a break and an opportunity to have small moments of joy, which is important. So basically in this chapter, I listed all sorts of different ways for you to think about, like just some examples of like how you can find ways to celebrate little things. Go for a walk. I went for 2 walks today. um, but if it's even going for a walk, taking yourself on a date, spending time with your loved ones, doing a favorite hobby. There's a lot of different ideas here, and this is not by any means an exhaustive list, but finding those things and making sure you're adding them to your calendar to work on getting back to a place of inner peace. And again, inner peace varies because we all are in different seasons of our life. But if you work on how do I get back to a state of inner peace, that mindset gets you to a different place for you to be living in. What else do I want to share with you all? Okay, the last thing I want to share about chapter 7, and of course I am highlighting you all for you. But the last thing I want to share about chapter 7, I would say, is that if you I one of the things I wrote was if you increase your resilience to the things that happen, even when they're outside of your control, that it doesn't, again, it's not lessening the pain necessarily, but it allows you to understand that even the things that are outside your control, you're going to have the mindset, the growth mindset, and have the mindset that you can be resilient, that you can get through, that you deserve to have inner peace. You deserve that. And whatever that looks like for you, because again, we're all different, it's really important to recognize that you have these mental health and wellness needs, and you deserve to have inner peace in your life. Okay, one more chapter. Last chapter, you all. I feel like it's like, I don't know. Okay. I feel like it's like bedtime stories sometimes. Reading these chapters here. Well, I'm not reading the whole chapter. I'm obviously highlighting for you all. And I'm like, next chapter. Okay, anyhow, chapter 8. I digress. Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is permission to heal. It's so funny because I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry, but one of you all told me, and I think it was either here in Mental Health Moment, which right now I can't see the comments, but feel free to keep commenting. I'll try to check afterwards because I just never know these comments. But it was either here on Mental Health Moment or maybe in a DM or something. But someone shared that this was their favorite chapter, which was chapter 8, Permission to Heal, which I thought was pretty cool. So this chapter is about essentially giving yourself permission to heal, which seems easier said than done. But the fact is, you do deserve to have healing in your life. I've always said there's no like trophies, awards, like there's nothing that to suffer and to be like, not that you're saying you need to suffer, but to think that you deserve to suffer is not true at all. Yes, you can learn things from negative things, of course, that happen in your life, which there's life lessons out of it, but you have healing from whatever it is that happened to you. You deserve that too. You deserve to work on healing yourself in the way that works best for you. And again, sometimes I talk a lot in this chapter about it's either not either, it could be both, but a lot of times you have to think about for you what is it that you're needing to heal from right now? Like, is it, are you in a place where you need to forgive yourself for something, or are you in a place where you need to forgive someone else for something? So really asking yourself things like that. Healing journeys look so different. I talk in this chapter about just some ways, but it looks very different depending on who you are. It could be healing through therapy. It could be healing through your support system around you. It could be, you know, some kind of physical way. It could be a retreat. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can work on your healing, like a lot. But the first step is to give yourself permission to take that step and to be healed from whatever it is that you may be dealing with at the moment. And also, even if you're in a good place right now and you're like, no, I'm good. I did my inner work. I did my healing of whatever it is that you needed to work on. The thing is, now you have to work on maintaining that inner peace, right? Like we talked on the last chapter. So doing the things for you still that bring you joy, that continue to allow you to have the inner peace that you deserve. That's essentially what this chapter is all about. The other thing that I was going to share with you all. I'm kind of talking a lot about this on Mental Health Moment, but essentially, as far as permission to heal, I also put in here how extremely important it is, especially for those of you who have been watching Mental Health Moment for a long time, again, to think about how are you resetting? How are you recharging? I do a lot of work with different organizations and corporations about burnout prevention because it's a very real thing. It is very easy to run ourselves into the ground, concentrate on every single thing except ourselves. I know that personally in the past. I get it. But also, you deserve to be able to reset and recharge if you need the day off, if you need to take a minute. As I always say, if you need to take an hour, a couple hours, like whatever it is for you that you need that's reasonable and sustainable, you need to start to take those steps in order to, again, work on the healing process, work on your inner peace that you deserve to have. And yeah, I think that sums up. Give yourself the permission you deserve to heal. Okay, so that was, yes, the end of chapter 8. So actually I did a couple chapters this week because I want to keep us on track, and by the end of this year we will have gone through the whole entire book. There are, let me see, hold on, I should know this, but okay, yes. I didn't want to tell you the wrong amount. There are 21 chapters in this book. So next week we're going to start on chapter 9, which delves into the physical self-care, because the book basically is about holistic self-care. So physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and just some tips for you to think about. And yeah, anyhow, so next week we'll start on the physical aspects and things for you to think about, because there's a brain and body connection, mind and body connection, which is very important. So your physical, the way you take care of yourself physically also affects your mental health as well. And I think that is all that we will be sharing from the book. But again, for those of you who tuned in a little bit late, so it's Mindset Training, Conquer Your Mind, and the Rest Will Follow, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Books A Million, all the online places. Yeah, and I have some exciting news, but I think I'll share it next week when I have more information about it. But good news coming up soon here, and I will, yes, probably be sharing that next week when I have a better timeline of something that I need to share with you all. I think that's about it though. Okay, so I am so sorry that I'm sure you guys had comments, and for some reason or another, the comments started a little bit. I saw a couple and then it stopped. Go figure. I really like reading you all's comments though, so hopefully your comments were amazing. But nonetheless, I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Be sure to have an amazing week. Work on your inner peace. Give yourself permission to heal this week. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves and be blessed. Bye, you guys.